There comes a point in life when the mind doesn't feel as quick as it used to. Maybe you forget a name. Maybe you walk into the kitchen and pause, trying to remember why you came. Maybe you feel mentally tired even after doing something small. And many people are told this is just aging, but that is not the whole truth. In this video, we're going to talk about the daily habits that quietly affect your memory and mental clarity, habits many of us don't even realize we're doing. And we're also going to talk about what you can do to stay sharp, steady, and confident as you move through your 60s, 70s, and older. I want this to feel like a conversation, not a lecture. Just two people speaking with honesty and understanding. Because your mind is not failing. It simply needs the right support, just the same way the body does. Before we begin, I'd love to know, which state or city are you watching from today? Go ahead and share it in the comments. It helps us feel like one community learning together. Habit number 1. Sitting for long periods without moving. As we grow older, we naturally spend more time sitting. It feels comfortable. It feels familiar. And sometimes standing up again and again feels tiring. You may sit while watching TV, reading, talking on the phone, doing puzzles, resting after meals, or simply passing time. Sitting itself is not a bad thing, but sitting for long, uninterrupted periods can quietly affect how well the brain works. When the body stays still for too long, blood flow slows down, and your brain depends on steady, healthy blood circulation to stay alert and sharp. When that flow slows, the mind receives less oxygen, less nourishment. That is when the head begins to feel heavy, or thinking feels slower than before. You might notice moments where you forget why you walked into a room, or words take longer to come, or you feel mentally tired even though your body is rested. Many people think this is just old age, but often it is simply the brain waiting for movement. Your brain doesn't need exercise or workouts to improve. It just needs short breaks from sitting. Even a few gentle movements make a noticeable difference. Standing up for a minute, stretching your back, rolling your shoulders, walking slowly to the window, or taking a few deep breaths can restart circulation. These small moments send fresh oxygen to the brain and help clear the mental fog. Habit number 2. Sleeping less than your brain truly needs. As we age, many of us begin to sleep less without even meaning to. Some people wake up earlier than they used to. Some stay up late watching TV. Others say, "I don't need much sleep anymore." It can feel normal. It can even feel like something to be proud of. But the truth is, the older brain depends on sleep more than ever. Sleep is not just rest. Sleep is where the brain does its most important repair work. During the night, especially in deep sleep, the brain quietly cleans away waste materials that build up during the day. It sorts memories, strengthens focus, and restores emotional balance. When sleep is shorter or lighter than needed, the brain doesn't complete this process. It wakes up unfinished, and that is when the mind begins to feel slower, heavier, or more forgetful. You may find yourself losing your train of thought more often. You may know a word but take longer to say it. You may feel mentally tired even though your body is not tired. This is not weakness, and it is not simply age. It is the brain asking for more rest. When sleep improves, memory sharpens naturally. Conversations feel easier. You feel steadier in your mood. Everyday tasks require less effort because the brain is working from a place of balance and strength. The good news is, you don't need sleeping pills or drastic changes. Gentle habits make a bigger difference than most people realize. Going to bed around the same time every night gives the brain rhythm. A quieter evening, a lighter dinner, and time away from screens before sleep helps the mind settle. And simply stepping outside in the morning light, even for a few minutes, helps reset the body's natural clock. Your brain is still capable. it just needs the rest it deserves. Habit number 3. Depending too much on caffeine. Many older adults enjoy their morning coffee or tea. It's a comfort, a routine, something familiar that starts the day. And having a cup in the morning is perfectly fine. The challenge begins when caffeine becomes the main source of energy throughout the day, when the body is tired but the mind is being pushed to stay awake. As we age, the body processes caffeine more slowly. What used to leave the system in a few hours may now stay for most of the day. Caffeine works by blocking the brain's natural signal that tells you when it's tired. So even when the brain needs rest, caffeine is telling it to keep going. This can create a quiet kind of tension in the nervous system. You might feel alert on the outside, but the brain is working harder than it should on the inside. This often leads to mental fog later in the day. Many people notice that in the afternoon, focus becomes harder, small tasks feel heavier, or thinking feels cloudy. This is not the brain becoming weak. It is simply overstimulated and tired underneath. Another thing caffeine affects is deep sleep. Even if you fall asleep easily, caffeine can prevent the brain from entering the deep stages of sleep where memory is restored. You may sleep through the night, but still wake up feeling unrefreshed, like your mind didn't fully reset. The solution is not to stop drinking coffee completely. It is simply to let your brain breathe. 1 cup in the morning is usually enough. After that, switching to herbal tea, warm water with lemon, or decaf gives the brain space to relax. When the brain is not constantly being pushed, it naturally becomes clearer, calmer, and more focused. Your brain does not need to be forced awake. It just needs balance. Habit number 4. Eating too many processed or spicy foods. Many people think food only affects the stomach, but the truth is, your brain feels every bite you eat. The gut and the brain are closely connected. When the gut is calm, the mind feels clearer. When the gut is irritated, the mind becomes tired, unfocused, or foggy. As we age, the digestive system becomes more sensitive and it reacts more strongly to processed or heavily seasoned meals. Processed foods, such as packaged snacks, instant meals, deli meats, fast foods, and sugary treats, create inflammation inside the body. You cannot see this inflammation, and you may not feel it as pain. Instead, it shows up in your thinking. You may notice that words take longer to come. You may lose your train of thought more easily, or conversations may feel a little harder to follow. Many older adults assume this is simply aging, but in many cases, the brain is reacting to food that is not supporting it well. Spicy foods can have a similar effect. As the digestive system becomes more delicate with age, very spicy or heavily seasoned meals can overwork the gut. When the gut is stressed, it sends stress signals to the brain. That is when the mind feels cloudy or slow, even if you slept well. The good news is that the brain responds quickly to gentle changes. You do not need to give up the foods you enjoy. You do not need strict diets. Just shifting toward simpler, soothing foods more often can help the mind feel lighter and clearer. Meals with cooked vegetables, soft fruits, lean proteins, oats, or soups are easier on the gut, and the brain can relax when the gut is calm. Your brain is not slowing down because you are getting older. It simply needs better fuel to work at its best. Habit number 5. Being around secondhand smoke. You may not smoke yourself, but simply being around cigarette smoke can quietly affect your brain more than most people realize. Many older adults don't think much about secondhand smoke because they've lived near it for years, or they feel they've gotten used to the smell. But as we get older, the body becomes more sensitive. especially the blood vessels that carry oxygen to the brain. The chemicals in smoke enter the bloodstream even if you are not the one smoking. They travel through the body and create a slow, quiet form of inflammation. This inflammation does not hurt like a headache, and it does not show itself as something obvious. Instead, it affects memory and thinking in subtle ways. You may feel more forgetful on certain days. You may feel mentally heavy or slower to respond. You might find it harder to follow conversations or recall information. These changes are easy to blame on age, but often the brain is simply reacting to smoke exposure. Even smoke clinging to someone's clothes or hair can trigger this effect. The brain needs steady, healthy blood flow to stay clear. When smoke causes the blood vessels to tighten, less oxygen reaches the brain, and thinking becomes harder than it needs to be. This does not mean you need to avoid people you care about. Relationships matter, and shared time matters even more. What helps is simply protecting your air, meeting outdoors instead of indoors, opening windows when someone visits, or setting a gentle rule that smoking happens outside can make a meaningful difference. These small steps are caring for your mind, your clarity, your independence. Habit number 6. Ignoring early warning signs from the brain. As we grow older, the brain starts sending small signals when it needs support. These signals can look like forgetting a name, losing your train of thought mid-sentence, taking longer to remember something, or feeling mentally tired even after doing something simple. Many older adults quickly brush these moments aside and say, "Oh, it's just age," or "I was just distracted." But these small signs are not failures. They are the brain communicating. The brain does not suddenly become weak. It changes slowly, quietly, and carefully. And when something in your daily routine is affecting your memory, whether it's lack of sleep, too much screen time, stress, sitting too long, or not eating well, the brain tries to tell you. Ignoring these signs does not make them disappear. Instead, the brain begins to work harder to compensate. That is when thinking can start to feel heavy, or conversations can feel harder to follow. It is very important to understand that noticing these changes does not mean something is wrong with you. It means your brain is asking for care and balance. When you pay attention early, even small improvements in your daily habits can make memory clearer and thinking smoother. One helpful way to listen to the brain is simply to observe how you feel day to day. Notice if forgetfulness happens more on days when you slept less or were stressed. Notice if your mind feels clearer when you got some sunlight or moved more. When you understand your patterns, your brain starts to make sense, and solutions become easier. You are not losing your mind. Your brain is simply talking to you, and responding with small, steady care protects your independence, your confidence, and your clarity. Habit number 7. Belly fat and hidden inflammation in the body. Many older adults look at belly fat as simply extra weight or something that naturally comes with age. It's easy to think it's just part of getting older. But the soft, deep fat around the waist does more than change the shape of the body. It quietly creates inflammation inside the body, especially in the brain. This inflammation does not show up as pain, so most people don't notice it happening. Instead, it affects how clearly we think, how easily we remember, and how quickly we speak. This type of inflammation can make the mind feel heavier. You may feel slow mentally, even when you have energy physically. You may know what you want to say, but the words take longer to come out. Sometimes you may feel like your thoughts are surrounded by fog. For many older adults, this is not old age. This is the brain reacting to hidden inflammation coming from inside the body. The encouraging part is that the brain responds very quickly when this inflammation begins to reduce, and you do not need to lose a large amount of weight for this to happen. Even a small, gentle change, just a few pounds, can make the brain feel clearer and more awake. You may find it easier to remember things. Conversations may feel smoother. Your thinking may feel brighter. You don't need strict diets or heavy exercise. Small habits work best, like drinking more water, eating a little more protein and vegetables, or taking a slow 10 to 15-minute walk after breakfast or dinner. These changes help your body settle, and when the body is calmer, the brain becomes calmer too. Habit number 8. Holding stress inside instead of releasing it. Many older adults grew up in a time where people were taught to stay strong, keep going, and not show their stress. You learn to handle things quietly, without complaining, and that strength helped you through many difficult years. But over time, when stress is held inside and never released, the mind begins to carry a weight that does not go away on its own. Stress in older age does not always look like worry or panic. Often, it looks like tired thinking. It looks like irritation that comes quickly. It feels like your mind is full, even when nothing big is happening. Sometimes it shows up as forgetfulness or difficulty focusing. This doesn't mean something is wrong with you. It means the brain has been carrying too much without a break. When the nervous system stays tense for too long, the brain has to work harder to think clearly. That is why small tasks can begin to feel overwhelming, even if they were easy before. It's not aging, it's the brain trying to protect itself from constant pressure. The comforting truth is that stress can soften with very gentle habits. You do not need therapy, long meditation, or big lifestyle changes. Even small moments of release make a difference. Taking a short walk without your phone gives the mind space to breathe. Sitting in morning sunlight helps calm the nervous system. Closing your eyes and breathing slowly for just a minute tells your brain it is safe. Writing a few sentences once a week about how you felt, not what you did, lets your emotions move instead of staying trapped. Your brain does not need to be strong all the time. It needs to feel supported. When the stress lightens, memory improves, thinking becomes clearer, and you begin to feel like yourself again. Habit number 9. Eating too much red or processed meat. Many older adults enjoy red meat. It feels familiar, satisfying, and comforting. There is nothing wrong with eating meat. The body needs protein. The issue begins when red meat or processed meat becomes a regular, daily part of meals. As we age, the brain becomes more sensitive to inflammation, and processed meats especially can quietly increase that inflammation in the body. Processed meats like sausages, bacon, deli slices, pepperoni, and ham contain preservatives and chemicals that the body has a harder time handling as we get older. These substances do not cause pain or clear symptoms. Instead, they affect how the brain communicates. You may notice slower thinking, words taking longer to come out, or memory feeling less sharp. Many people think this is simply aging, but often the brain is reacting to the constant pressure of inflammation coming from food. Even red meat, when eaten too often without balance, can make the body work harder. The brain depends on smooth blood flow, and inflammation can interfere with that. The result is a mind that feels heavier, slower, or easily overwhelmed. The comforting part is that you do not need to give up meat completely. You do not need to change everything. The brain responds well to balance. If you simply include more vegetables, beans, lentils, fish, eggs, or lighter proteins during the week, the pressure inside the body begins to soften. When inflammation decreases, the mind feels clearer, Conversations feel easier. You feel more like yourself. Think of it as giving the brain cleaner fuel. Cleaner fuel means cleaner thinking. Habit number 10. Skipping regular checkups. Many older adults avoid regular checkups because they feel fine, or they believe nothing serious is happening. Some feel that going to the doctor means admitting something is wrong. Others simply don't want to bother anyone or feel like they should manage things on their own. But the brain and body do not always send loud signals when something needs attention. Many changes happen quietly and slowly, and when these changes go unnoticed for too long, they can begin to affect memory, clarity, and mood. For example, even small shifts in blood pressure, vitamin levels, thyroid function, sleep quality, or hearing can make the brain work harder than it should. The brain then becomes tired more easily, thinking feels slower, and conversations take more energy. You may feel forgetful or mentally heavy and assume it's just aging, but often the brain is simply trying to keep up while something small in the body needs support. A regular checkup helps catch these changes early, when they are easier to manage and before they begin to affect your daily life. Even something like mild hearing loss can strain the brain because the mind has to work harder just to understand sounds. When that strain is reduced, thinking becomes clearer again. Going for a checkup is not about fear. It is an act of care. Care for your independence, your confidence, and your ability to live life the way you want. A simple conversation with your doctor, a basic blood test, or a small adjustment in medication or vitamins can make a noticeable difference in how steady and clear your mind feels each day. Growing older does not mean the mind is supposed to fade. Your memory, clarity, and confidence are not gone. They simply need support. The habits we talked about are small things that happen every day, often without notice. And because they happen quietly, their effects on the brain also appear quietly. But the brain is always listening, always adapting, always trying to protect you. When you give it a little care, even small changes can bring back sharpness that you may have thought you lost. You do not need to make big, difficult changes. You do not need to push your body or force your mind. Gentle steps are enough. Standing up more often, sleeping a little better, eating a bit lighter, breathing slowly, or spending time outside. These simple choices help the brain feel safe, rested, and supported. Your mind is still strong. It has carried every memory, every conversation, every lesson, every moment of your life. It deserves patience and kindness. If you found even one habit today that you would like to improve, choose just that one and start slowly. You will begin to notice the difference, not all at once, but gently, day by day. Your best thinking years are not behind you. They are still with you.